And we are live. Welcome to MLB Strategy / Live Before Lock. I am Josh Engelman, and if you are watching this show on YouTube, I apologize for the t-shirt that I'm wearing. The background of me has just white and blue or black slashes. The shirt that I'm wearing is white with tiny blue stripes, and it is ruining the visual experience for anybody that is looking at the tiny picture of me. Everything looks 3D. I don't look like I'm wearing real clothes. Not important, because you guys can see the data on the screen. We've got 5 early games to break down. I am very aware that I am only going to get the true crazies in here today to break this bad boy down, because we've got Thursday night football tonight. We just had a Thursday night football show, either just finish up or about to finish up. So make sure you're going to check that out. Obviously, we've got Thursday night football tonight. Live before lock will be Eric and Bellman. And then you're going to have NFL live before lock as well tonight. So I'm only going to touch on the early here. They'll be able to touch on the main later. And it's a football day. So baseball is going to be shown not a lot of respect, but I'm here for it. I'm going to apologize in advance for that tong to tong 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 experience yesterday. That did not go well if you watched live before lock. Man, I thought we were going to get out of it. You know, he had some base runners in the first, and then they throw someone out at the plate to get out of the inning. And I'm like, all right, we're going to be okay. Quick second, not an issue. And then he just got destroyed. And it all ended up blowing up. Man, once Judge homered, I thought I was going to be in some good shape. But the rest of... I had a bad night. I was very happy with my lineups. The contest I entered had the highest sim ROI, but some days it's just going to be bad. Yesterday was one of those days, unfortunately. It was a really good 2 days ago, not so much today. And now we've got a very, very interesting early slate. Let me grab my phone quickly. I haven't looked at contests for the early. I can only imagine they're dreadful, but I do want to play this. So let me see. Alan, I will be giving 0 NFL anythings today. So don't hold your breath on that one. Okay, that early's... I mean, the relay throw at least is decent. 1240. Sure. All right, we'll see how that goes. All right, let's get to the early. I don't think I have anything else I wanted to touch on from yesterday, other than I would love for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Josh Engelman, because I dropped content already today. If you go to oddshopper.com and you head to the Tails Expert Picks page, it's a tab at the top. You could explore the Expert Picks page just to see what's been posted, because you're going to get a bunch of different stuff. Shout out Adam Kaufman, former friend of the program and former host for some shows. He and I did a bunch of baseball shows back in the day. Good stuff. Basketball too, I believe. We've got Thursday night football cheat sheets that are already posted here. This is totally free. You can follow me here as well. I put out an MLB top stacks article for the main slate, which you can see right here. I also put out an MLB top pitchers article for the main slate. So if you guys want to see that, head to Tails, give me a follow. Wouldn't hurt. And you'll get some info. I'll have that up again tomorrow as well. Could potentially get one up there on Sunday. I don't know how many people are going to care. Oh, by the way, here's an announcement for everybody that nobody knows is happening. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Now, obviously, for those of you that follow the NFL, you guys know what we do on Sundays. We dominate the airwaves. You know, we go live at, I don't know what time Greg goes live, 9:30 maybe. He gives you a half hour. You get a 90-minute show from Lofty and Ben. You get 90 more minutes from Spags and Eric. We're live for hours every single Sunday, but we're starting it a little earlier this week. 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, Vikings and Steelers. We've got an early showdown. I believe that's the Ireland game. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going live at 9 o'clock. Sunday morning, Vikings Steelers. You're getting me at 9 o'clock for a half hour. I am not going to pretend that I pay attention to the NFL. I watched a little bit of Red Zone in week 1, and that's about the extent of it. But what I do know how to do is use our simulation tools. So I'm going to be up 9 a.m. Sunday morning for Vikings Steelers. We're going to run DraftKings sims. We're going to run FanDuel sims. We're going to run single lineup builds for both. I'm just going to use our tools to build lineups for a half hour on the ramp up to Vikings Steelers. And then I'm going to turn it over to Greg and Lofty and Ben, Eric and Spags, and they're going to take you guys home. Don't expect to get detailed analysis of individual players. You will get detailed analysis of salary, projection, ownership, leverage, and sim ROI. So make sure you're tuning into that one on Sunday. All right. First things first, I'm going to start running a sim for the early, which I have not done yet. I've only looked at the main so far, so whatever journey we're about to go on over the next 45 minutes or so, it's a new one for me. All right, so that'll start going. I've got the top pitchers tool pulled up. And the first thing that I notice right out of the gate, the first 5 pitchers in the top pitchers tool. Reminder that we have 10 pitchers going. There's a pretty clean line in the sand drawn here. I mean, if we want to be technical, it's 4, 30% top 2, 29, 26, 23. But I'm drawing the line at Valdez because it's 10K, 8,200, 9K, 8K, 8,700. The first 5 guys are the 5 most expensive guys on the slate. The bottom 5 guys are the least expensive guys on today's slate, which means it feels like it's a bit of a pay up at both pitcher spots today, more often than not. And if that's the case, it changes up the way that you stack things. Who's pitching, Ryan or Ober? One way to find out. MLB.com has Ober. Are we doing the same thing we did yesterday? Am I going to refresh that and all of a sudden he's just going to show up? Fangraphs has Ober. Let me see if that's the message that I'm getting right now. All right, I sent the message in now to handle the Bailey Ober. Oh, wait, we did do it. All right. Turns out it was already handled. So we've got Bailey Ober in here now. Very different top, but it has dropped Valdez and brought up Cade Povich. So we're going to dig into that today. Josh Byers, we need some NBA best ball content. Not my wheelhouse. I am not a best ball person. I don't like it. I don't think it's a very fun mechanism. I think it's a waste of having money tied up. Is there an edge? Yeah, probably. Do I care about it? I don't in any way. You'll never. I hope that you never see me talking NBA best ball because I have no interest in it. I've never played it. I've never played football. I've never played best ball other than if I got a ticket, I'll throw it in because why not? I hate it. I find it to be one of the dumbest mechanisms that exists in our industry right now. It's not something that I find to be interesting in any way. So we have a $8,200 Nick Lodolo. Man, if this game were in Pittsburgh, how owned would he be? He's at 32% top two pitcher. 10K Yamamoto, 32% top two pitcher. Obviously, Lodolo the better value, but Lodolo, 44% owned. Yamamoto, 50% owned. That's 95% ownership to those two guys, which means the rest of the ownership goes to the other 8 men that are throwing today. Let's start with Nick Lodolo. It's Red Skittles. It's true, Red Skittles. Josh, I know I'm the basketball guy, but where does it end? It's just not fun. I don't understand why people think it's fun. Do they just want to be like, see how smart I was? I drafted Joe Jerkoff in the 16th round. That's why I win. I can't do it. The discourse around it is awful. That's probably why. And I barely even follow NFL stuff, but to read NFL best ball stuff on Twitter makes me want to jump off a bridge. Let's look into Lodolo. That's way more interesting to me. I don't know why I immediately went to Yamamoto, but apparently I did. So Lodolo, 19.9% K rate. Lefty so far this season. They don't touch him. 138x ISO, 321x WOBA. Totally fine. Picks up the strikeout rate quite a bit against righties. Gets up to 24.5%. Also picks up the power, which you would expect. 180x ISO, but just a 299x WOBA. Look, Lodolo's good, or at least good enough if we want to have that conversation. But let's take a look at the team batting stats. You know how we go through this. Active roster versus left-handed pitchers. The Pittsburgh Pirates have the 10th lowest WRC plus at 88. One interesting factor, they have the highest walk rate of any team against lefties. Sizable, 11%. However, they also have the 3rd highest K rate, and a 142 ISO smacks them dead in the middle of the pack. So let's take a look at those strikeout props. Stands to reason, Mr. Lodolo is going to have a pretty tasty K prop here. If this is anything like whoever that idiot was from the Royals yesterday, and you see it on the screen right out of the gate, I can make that one notch smaller. There we go. Nick Lodolo, over under 6.5 Ks, barely any juice to the under. I mean, if we want to just reference Yamamoto in this scenario, Yamamoto's at 5.5 to the over. Nick Lodolo has a better strikeout prop than Yoshinobu Yamamoto today. Now, Nick Lodolo is also expected to go 15.5 outs, basically on the nose, whereas Yamamoto is expected to throw a full extra inning, which is absolutely what you're looking for when somebody's going to be 10K. 2.5 is the earned run prop for Lodolo, but he's got the heavy juice on the bottom side of it. Yamamoto, obviously, at 1.5 with a little bit heavier of juice to the over. So they're relatively close, honestly, in earned runs. You're just expecting an extra inning out of Yamamoto. I got to be honest, I don't really see the path to not getting Lodolo here. Why do I got to log in? I'm already logged in. I generated everything. Kolek. Yeah, there you go. Well, looks like I'll do that again. So let's run that back. Try that again. I just don't see the path away from Lodolo, especially on a day where we don't really have, Cade Povich is the, I guess, preferred value option. 8,200 against this Pittsburgh team that strikes out in bunches. What's Lodolo's walk rate? 4.5% this year, which is next to nothing. Yeah, that's an interesting matchup because Lodolo really doesn't walk anybody. And that's like the only thing the Pirates can do, which is always fun to see. Look, all told, at 80, whatever the hell, 100 for Nick Lodolo, he's the dude today. He's just that combination of, again, being the highest top 2 pitcher guy at that kind of reasonable price today in this matchup. Yeah, he should be 40+% owned. And it's not like we have a bunch of other options to go. There's only 9 other pitchers. Tizzle, it's him and Yamamoto by like 2.5x to everybody else. All right, let's take the top 150 and see what's coming out of the Sims to start. That can inform the direction we go. So, Lodolo, 75% of all lineups, projected for 44% ownership in this pool. He's breaking away from the field. Now, right now, I don't even think I would do much with that. But do you guys see the second name? Because the second name on this list is close to a 3x stand on Cade Povich. So as much as I want to go to Yamamoto here, let's talk Cade Povich. At home, taking on the Rays, Povich. Now, we know the K stuff is real. 27.5% K rate to lefties, 24% K rate to righties. However, 210x ISO to lefties, 252x ISO to righties, along with a 382x WOBA. It's either a strikeout or a homer, basically, man. This guy gives it up in bunches. But if we go take a peek at the old prop market, Cade Povich, 5.5. Pretty heavy juice to the under, but, let's not forget, 5.5 to the under is still a pretty good line for what we're getting today. Remember, small slate, 15.5 outs prop. So just like Lodolo, maybe a little bit worse. Lodolo didn't have the juice. Cade Povich certainly does. Certainly a highly volatile spot. But luckily for us, we can take a look at the lefty performance for the Tampa Bay Rays today. And this will be the distinguishing factor, I believe. In WRC Plus, the Tampa Bay Rays rank 23rd. They're actually worse than Pittsburgh against lefties. Now, the strikeouts aren't there. Obviously, Pittsburgh at 26%, Tampa middle of the pack at 21.9%, but they don't walk. 6.4% walk rate, lowest in the league, which is incredibly helpful for a guy like Povich, who gives it up from a power perspective. At least you shouldn't expect as many free base runners. And then from an ISO perspective, they're 13th, but they're essentially average. So we've got Cade Povich at 5,500, 19% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 38% chance of a top 2 value makes him the number 1 value play today. 7% positive leverage, just 12% ownership for Cade Povich. He's under-owned. At 5,500, that dude's under-owned. He should be 20. Now, this could be a case where he's not really under-owned because of himself. He's under-owned because once you have Lodolo, stacks don't become all that difficult because of Lodolo being at 8,200. Because if you're not pairing Lodolo with Yamamoto, then you've got all the salary in the world. But if we're talking about what's coming out of the Sims right now, I love the Lodolo exposure. And I'm more than happy with the Cade Povich exposure. So what is causing us to take a 52% owned Yamamoto and only get 30% of him? In Arizona, now Yamamoto is very clearly the best pitcher on this slate. 29% K rate to lefties, 30% K rate to righties. I'm assuming Yamamoto has been the best pitcher in baseball against lefties relative to being a righty. 0.076 x ISO and a 241 x WOBA. Just utter dominance. Utter dominance. And it's not good against, 30% K rate to righties, 140 x ISO, 286 x WOBA. No one hits him. No one hits him. Clearly, the park is miles better than if this matchup were in LA. And then if we take a look at these Arizona Diamondbacks against righties on the season for their active roster, they are 8th in WRC plus. They don't strike out all that much. And they've got the 5th highest ISO in baseball. All that is very relevant. Very relevant. Chase Field on the season, 91 arc factor for homers. It was 92 the year before, 79, 82, 86. It's a place that's going to limit power. It is going to play up runs, and it is going to play down strikeouts. So when we see Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the betting markets with his 5.5% or 5.5K prop juiced to the over, we know the outs prop already. Admittedly, I'm a little surprised that we're so negative in the Sims coming off of him. I mean, obviously, we still have 30%. He's our third most likely pitcher here. But the real question for me becomes, does one of Molly, Ober, or Valdez get us where we want to be? And then, if we're being realistic here, we also have our boy JT Jin, who does not struggle against righties in any way. And this could be a very sneaky matchup for our boy JT Jin. We don't have the Astros lineup right now. The projected Astros lineup only has 2 lefties in it, Jesus Sanchez and Zach Cole. So, Sanchez is likely to take our boy deep. Cole can. But after that, it's just a bunch of righties that he should neutralize. 19% K rate versus 32. 213 x ISO versus 132. 368 x WOBA versus 254. If that lineup holds or even gets better for us in some way, this dude is massively underrepresented, save for the park. The park is the problem more than anything here, because the park is death. But I am very interested in our boy JT Jin here. Are we getting him? We have, and we're already mildly over the field. So Molly and Ober. Ober stinks, gives up power. Now, Minnesota also stinks, but has power. I don't have a ton of interest in Bailey Ober. Molly has been solid here. Only really strikes out lefties. Texas 28th in WRC plus against righties. Don't strike out a ton. 150 ISO mid-pack. Actually, a little bit lower than mid-pack. I definitely prefer Tyler Molly to Bailey Ober. By the way, our boy JT Gin with a 4.5 strikeout prop. Ober at 4.5, juice to the over. Molly and Ober have the exact same strikeout props right now. Molly, 14.5 outs, juice to the over. Bailey Ober is like right around 16. So like an extra out for Ober. I lean Molly over Ober. Molly is also pulling more ownership. We're starting to feel this one. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to give Yamamoto a 5% boost, Povich a 5% reduction, Molly a 5% boost, JT Gin a 5% boost. Let's just take a peek here. Steven, it's an active roster, Mark. But yeah, they are shit for sure. All right, so that moves us around to 72% Lodolo, little bit more Yamamoto, bit more Tyler Molly, still a decent stand on Cade Povich, but nothing crazy. We're 2xing Povich and our boy JT Gin. I'll take that all day. I'll take one quick peek at Valdez, who terrifies me for today. 094x ISO to lefties is great. 141x ISO to righties, great. He's never really had any issues with power, but we're talking 21, 22% K rate. Obviously, we expect him to go relatively deep in the game. Valdez, 17.5 outs. I'm guessing 4.5 Ks juice to the over. Yeah, 4.5 juice to the over. Honestly, Valdez isn't a huge issue. But at 8,700, I just don't love that against an Oakland team with as much power as they have in this park. A's against lefties this season, 5th highest WRC plus, 3rd highest ISO. There's certainly some strikeouts there, but I don't have anything for Framber Valdez that makes me want to have like a bunch of him. I'm pretty happy with what the exposures look like for the pitching right now. That said, we need to inform that using the top stacks tool. So that will change things a little bit here. So, top stack for today. Pretty easily, too. The Houston Astros against our boy JT Gin. Now, I want to be very clear here. I don't like him that much because of the reason that we like him. If they're going to trot out that many righties, they're not that good. 17% top stacks, 13.9% top value is essentially tied for the top spot with two other teams. They're only 14% owned. The Dodgers are pulling significantly more ownership. But Houston does have the highest stack score by quite a bit. Now, the Dodgers today, 16% top stack, basically the same as Houston, no value to speak of. They are 20% owned today. And I think that has a lot to do with like Lodolo and Povich. Best I could tell, the Dodgers are massively over-owned. That's another team where like probably don't want it. Why Houston keep being top stack and not producing with 4 question marks? Because it's baseball. Just for the record, top stack 17% means they're not 83% of the time. So remember what context. Tampa Bay against Cade Povich is your 3rd highest top stack, 2nd highest stack score. They've got the same value as Houston, but they're 10% owned. So I want to look at Tampa. I want to look at the A's. I want to look a little bit at Cincinnati. I think there's a case to be made for an unowned Texas team. So let's see what we have in the Sims right now. highest 5-man stack exposure goes to the Texas Rangers. Now, I would never keep this. There is no scenario where I need 13% of a 2% owned Texas team. They're in 23% of my lineups. That's like a 4x stand. Definitely don't need it. Houston being second and first overall is very much something I don't need. So I'm going to take 10% off of Houston and 5 off of Texas and see what that does. Now, Texas falls to third. Still a bit of a stand, but 18%. Cincy moves to the top. Arizona comes in that second spot. And we've really taken the teeth out of Houston down to 13. I like that a lot more. So now that we've, turned the dials a little bit, calibrated a little bit, let's look at the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are our current most exposed team. They have the second lowest top stack odds, and they're the worst value for today. But they are facing a 50% owned Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Look, it's a 5-game slate. The least likely team to be the top stack is still like once every 5 days. 6%? 6 times every 100? 3 times every 50, 1.5 per 25. That's where we're at. Once every 2 weeks, you're going to get Minnesota or Arizona doing this. I can't do this one. I would not want that much Arizona. So let's look at the Cincy piece of this one. Against Pittsburgh, in their own ballpark. So the difference between throwing or hitting in Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati is the literal night and day. It's 1 versus 30. Now, Ashcraft's got pretty decent strikeout stuff against lefties, solid enough against righties. No one really hits him all that hard. I think there's probably a case to be made that we should be looking at this dude at least a little bit. 4 strikeout prop, 11.5 out, 12 outs. It's again 5 teams. Probably not going to go deep enough to care about him in particular. 4.7 running team total. They're like mid-pack stack, mid-pack value, mid-pack ownership. I mean, the appeal of Cincinnati is clear. And it's this. 113 park factor for homers this year. Oddly enough, the lowest it's been in 6 years. Neutral for runs, but this is a park that plays up power. And for Cincy, against Ashcraft, we're up against a righty here. Cincy's active roster versus righties. 24th in WRC plus, no power. So the first thing that I'm seeing right now, this is wild for today's slate. I don't really like Cincinnati all that much. I wouldn't want them to be my primary stack. I definitely don't like Houston. I already had to walk that back. And I definitely don't like Arizona. I think it's going to be very important to find a team I actually do like. Now, when it comes to the Dodgers, clearly I like them. That shouldn't be tough. But they're massively owned at 20%. And they're not exactly cost effective. So is it Oakland? Is it we got to look at Tampa. That's starting to feel like the spot we want to be. Because if we're going to have a stand on Povich, I also don't mind having a stand on the opposite side, given the kind of power this dude gives up. Now, they're in middle of the pack here in terms of our ownership. But I lean more towards Povich here. I lean more towards the A's. Probably not too much of a case for Baltimore. I mean, Texas at home against Bailey Ober? I think Texas, Tampa, and the A's are teams that I want more of here. But I already have Texas. So I'm going to bump Tampa. I'm going to bump the A's. I'm going to knock down Arizona, knock down Cincinnati. Tampa's going to climb here. So are you saying Texas will be the lowest owned stack today? Yes. All right, stack exposures now. A lot of Texas, a lot of Tampa, still way too much Arizona. So I need to bring Arizona down. I need to bring the A's up even further. Texas, Tampa. Man, I can't move those A's the way that I want to. Now we're at Tampa, Texas, Arizona. Houston's still there as filler. That's fine. A's are climbing to 14%. I feel a lot better about that. Has it changed our pitching exposures? No, very happy with that. Okay. I'm happy with where the exposures are right now, but I got to be honest, I don't like the hitting side of today's slate. So what we need to do is start building some lineups and understand what the actual effect is when we start looking at these guys. So we're going to go large contest. And then at pitcher, I'm going to go to my boy, JT. And then I'm going to pair it with an ace stack. So that's going to be, I'm not taking Kurtz. The price is, he's so far off on value that I'm not going that way. So I'm going to go Langoliers. We'll take the value of Hernandez. I'm going to take Muncy in at third. And then I'm going to take Rooker and Butler. Now, I assume this is going to give me Yamamoto. So let's see. It actually gives me Lodolo. Interesting. So I get Lodolo, Yandy Diaz, Ellie De La Cruz, and Shohei Ohtani. Let's see how that, and we leave $700 on the table. 14%. Obviously, my boy JT Jin probably not looking great in this one and isn't going to make it into any sort of optimals very quickly. Pitching value, Povich. Okay, let's look at Povich instead of our boy JT Jin. Does that get us Yamamoto? No. Still Lodolo, Ohtani, Pena, Corbin, Carroll. I think that's an increase to projection, lower ownership. This is going to be like 40 or 50. 30. Okay. Okay. Now I just want to see what it looks like if I just put Yamamoto in and fill the rest of it. Povich, Freddie Freeman, Ohtani, Pena. We're taking on this is gonna be lower. We dropped in projection and gained in ownership. Yeah. All right. That's the A's, I guess. Let's see what all the fuss is about here with the Dodgers. Yo, Shohei Ohtani is 48% owned. Holy shit. All right. Oddly enough, he's like not even a bad value. That's the crazy part. So we're going to put Ohtani into the outfield. We're going to put Freddie Freeman in at first, Mookie Betts in at short. I'm going to take Conforto for the value. And I'm going to take Tommy Edman at second. And now if I optimize this lineup. So Tex, that was me, man. Lodolo, Povich, two-man A's stack of Langoliers and Rooker with a one-off Carlos Correa. We have a lot of ownership now, but we have crested the 100 mark in projection. I think this is going to be in that like 20 to 30 range. 26.2% sim ROI. Nailed it. Nailed it. Povich, Lodolo. Povich, Lodolo. If it's, I don't think I'm gonna have enough places to spend this money if I go Povich, JT Ginn. Langoliers, Westberg, Buxton. 4-point projection cut. Did trim the owner. This is going to be like in the teens. 17. Dude, I got this dialed in. I got to tell you guys this right now. I don't like the Dodgers here. Other than the fact that, like, clearly they can just be great. But... And that rain for Pittsburgh and Cincy... It's a little scary, particularly for like I'm not worried about any bats in that game, but there's like a non-zero chance that could go negatively for Lodolo. Okay, I guess I got to look at a Tampa stack. So let's look at Tampa against Povich. So that's going to be Nick Fortes, Yandy Diaz, Carson Williams, Junior Caminero, Christopher Morel. Now, obviously, we know that we're not going to get Povich in this lineup. I fully expect this to be Yamamoto Lodolo. Lodolo, Tyler Mahle. Two-man Houston of Altuve and Jesus Sanchez. Obviously, we're okay with the Sanchez piece here. And then Shohei Ohtani into the outfield spot. This again is going to be in like that 15 to 20 range. 11. We're all over it. In this spot, I feel like Ohtani just has to not be the guy that goes into this lineup. So he's just on a completely different level. Like if I make that Brent Rooker, do I even spend the rest of my salary? Gavin Lux. No, that's not. All right, I need two outfielders. Okay, so give me TJ Friedel, Brent Rooker, Hull, Lodolo, and Mahle. Lodolo, Yamamoto, Altuve. Yeah, this again, it's going to be in like the 20s. Yeah, I'm having trouble breaking free. So How would I do that? We're looking for value without ownership. Actually, we're looking for projection without ownership. I don't want to do this, but I got to look at Houston because I think Houston's going to show up like crazy popular value here. I think this will be the highest sim ROI we build. Sanchez, Cole, Altuve, Paredes. I don't want Pena. I'm going to take Christian Walker, short outfield and catcher. Lodolo, Povich, Otani, Ellie, Langoliers. Again, it's a more ownership than I want. 600 on the table helps. This will be in the 20s to 30s. Yeah, 34. This ain't easy, guys. This is a very tough 5-gamer, given where the salaries are. And honestly, like my general distaste for some of the starting pitching that's available today. All right, Steven, I'm going to try that one, and that's going to be the end of this. I'm going to try an Orioles stack. And then we're going to pack it in. Orioles will be Mountcastle, Beavers, Westberg, Gunner, Cowser. Probably going to give me Povich. Yeah. Lodolo, Povich, Langoliers, Altuve, Otani. This is going to be the best one we built. Steven, good shout. I'm expecting this to be 40 plus. We crossed 100, but we're at 183 ownership. This is going to be 40 or 50. 59.1. Steven Leibowitz, take a bow, brother. Take a bow. That ain't shabby at all. Left 1,600 on the table. There's got to be a way to trim that ownership without hamstringing myself here. The Langoliers has the highest projection, but I can take Yainer Diaz here. Better value, lesser ownership. Lodolo, Molly, Diaz, Altuve, Otani. Is that any better? I took on a little bit more ownership, grabbed a little bit less projection. 30s? Yeah, 46. Okay, so if it's not Diaz, is there a better second base option than Altuve? Gavin Lux? Lodolo, Yamamoto, Higashioka, Lux, Otani. This is going to be in that 30 to 40 range again. Yeah. All right. Look, we found out that we can very easily build 30 to 40% sim ROI lineups, but this is a very difficult slate, everybody, and it locks in like 40 minutes. Yeah. 50 minutes. It locks at 12:40 Eastern time. Check me out on Tails. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engelman. MLB Live Before Lock tonight with Bellman and Eric. NFL Live Before Lock tonight, Thursday night football. You do not want to miss it. Thank you guys for being here. Final MLB strategy show of the regular season will be tomorrow. I want all of you here because I'm assuming it's a big old Friday slate. Make sure you're here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 11 a.m. Eastern time for the MLB strategy show finale, regular season edition.